Hi, Tracy here, also known as Mercy Tiara, with another episode of Find Your Mojo. Each episode gives you a prompt or a challenge to get your creative juices flowing and get you scrapping and documenting your memories. This time, the prompt is to take your color scheme from the photos that you're trying to scrap. So let's get started. So I'm starting by trimming up my photos with my Creative Memories trimmer, and I'm cutting all three of my photos down, and they are printed at 4x4 with a small border around them, a small white border. And I'm going to be using all three of these photos on this project. And so this is just a little valet tray that I have that I like to put my embellishments in while I'm working with them so that nothing gets lost on my desk as I'm scrapbooking. Sometimes things do tend to go missing if I don't keep things in their places. So I'm starting by I thought for a moment about using that gray cardstock that came in the kit, but it's too light, and I'm going to be using some gold on this, and I really would rather not introduce silver in such a big way. And that gray paper does have a shimmer to it, and it looks a little bit silvery. So I'm playing around with the idea here of using a black and white border around the edge of this, so matting the whole project in a black and white paper. And I kind of flirt with the idea. I really love this marbled paper from Maggie Holmes for that, but I don't think I'm actually going to do that. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm actually looking to the colors in the photos. These photos were shot in my dining room, and I always find it difficult to scrapbook with photos that are shot in my dining room because there's this really deep burgundy color on the wall, and it ends up reading rather brown, and the tables and furniture in the room are quite dark. And so all of the photos I find very challenging to scrap when they come from that room. So I'm starting by pulling out any of the papers in this kit that have this kind of orangey, corally, warm color of red in them. There are quite a few light pinks and light blues and very pastel-y, non-traditional colors, Christmas colors in this kit. And so I want to make sure that I pull out a lot of the orangey, reddy colors instead, just to coordinate with my photo. And so I've settled on this plaid as my background. It's from the Sugar Plum collection from My Mind's Eye, and I'm just going to cut out this chunk in the center of it because I really don't want to waste this paper. It's so pretty, and I want to make sure that I get some use out of the center part of it. So I just used my scissors to cut out a big chunk that's definitely smaller than what my border will be, and I'm going to cut this background paper down to 11 1/4 by 11 1/4, and that will give me a slightly wider border on my matted project than what I usually have, and I just wanted to see a little tiny bit more. I usually cut my centerpieces down to 11 1/2 by 11 1/2, but this time I did 11 1/4 by 11 1/4. And I'm going to arrange my photos in a fairly casual manner so that they're overlapping one another. And then I just noticed that this chunk that I cut out of the background paper actually makes the perfect size mat to hold all of my photos in a fairly casual way. Now, it is very roughly cut, and I thought I would even further emphasize the roughness of it by taking my Tim Holtz Distress tool and rubbing it all the way around the edges to really distress up those edges quite a lot. It gives quite a lot of interest to that paper. Now I'm just going through the die cuts that came in the kit, and they're called Mistletoe Kisses from Simple Stories. And I am just looking for some die cuts that might coordinate with the theme of the story that I'm trying to tell, which is about how awesome it is that you can just pull out a game and get kind of like your troubles melt away and all of the stress of the holiday, just, spending time with your family is what it's all about. So that's what this layout is about. So I'm selectively choosing embellishments that I think will fit with that theme and the holiday theme, and also that do not have the pink, because I'm trying to not use pink in this because I don't think pink looks really great with that orangey red. So now I'm just having a look at the letters that come in the kit. These are from the Yuletide collection from Pink Paisley, and they're beautiful cardstock letters that are this really nice bold color, and I'm thinking about the magic of play or the magic of games. So I'm taking out letters for either option and as my title, and they have a really nice shimmery pearlized finish to them, and I've decided to go with the magic of games as my title. Now, magic is one of the die cut foam glittery pieces that come in the kit. Every single thing that I'm using in this project except for the small letter stickers are all from the kit, and I'll let you know when I put those on. Now, these embellishments, these journaling pieces, I plan to use them up here. And I'm thinking that most of my embellishments will all be over here on the right-hand side of this layout, which is a little bit different. Usually I spread my embellishment clusters out around my layout, making a triangle, but in this case I'm thinking about not doing that. So here you see I put one of the snowflakes down here by the letter G, thinking that I might put a small embellishment cluster down there to balance off with the large embellishment cluster that's going to be over here to the right of my photos. I just pulled out the Z because I'm going to want to colorize these letters, and I'm thinking about a couple of different options. So here are the small letter stickers that I am planning to use. They are from October Afternoon, and they're mini market stickers, and I'm using the ones called index cards. I had also picked out the chalk and slate ones, but I ended up not using them. I thought they would be just a little bit too dark. I really like the retro look of this index card font, and I could have used any tile letter sticker here. I have a huge collection of those, but I really tend to reach for the mini market ones whenever I'm looking for a tile letter sticker, just because I like the look of them. So I grabbed a photo of this layout because I'm about to take all the pieces off, and I wanted to remember how I had everything laid out so that I can put it all back. The reason I'm taking everything off is I plan to do some sewing. So I'm going to bring these pieces over to my sewing machine, and I have my machine threaded with white thread in the top and in the bottom. And I'm just going to stitch a straight stitch all the way around the whole perimeter on the white cardstock so that it is basically stitching it down to that, that plaid paper background. And the cardstock that came in this kit is a textured cardstock from Basil, and the white is called, let me look it up here, it is called Lily White. And since I had this paper out, I decided to stitch around it as well. It just gives an extra little bit of interest. And that again is the center that I cut out of the plaid background paper. The other side of that paper is a really nice, subtle, very, I really like how light and pale it is, and that it's definitely very Christmassy, especially where the plaid is not all that obviously Christmassy. This pattern paper brings in the Christmas theme very nicely, but in a fairly subtle way. And the fact that it's not too bold of a pattern paper means that the titling that I'm going to put in that open corner of this grid will have good readability because it's not on a terribly bold background pattern. So I am trying to adhere these images. I need this picture of Pascal to go over to the side a little bit. It needs to be fairly over to the left in order to give me enough room for all of the letters in the word games. I don't know if you noticed when I first set them out, but the S goes quite a bit off the edge of the pattern paper, and I don't want it to go too far off. So I'm trying to scooch that photo with Pascal Playing Perfection as far over to the left as I can without compromising the overall design of this. So I just scooched it over even a little bit further. And Pascal is our international student from Germany, and so he had a lot of fun playing these board games. It was his first time playing these particular games. We were playing Clue and also Perfection. So now I have my mist sample tags out, and I'm looking for a match for some of the colors that are already in this page. And I've actually decided not to match because I thought it would just look a little bit too matchy-matchy. I wanted the title to be bold. And so I thought maybe I should just make these letters black. I'm a little bit apprehensive to make these letters black. I have the Z out just to sample and play around with. I'm a little bit apprehensive to use black just because the pearlized finish, I'm not sure how that's going to look in black. I definitely don't want it to look silver. I don't know how much this mist is going to cover up that pearlized finish. And so I just took my Tumble dye, which is a very black mist that I have by SEI. And I also had my Heidi Swap out, but the Heidi Swap has so much shimmer in it that I was pretty sure that it would read as a silver. And I really don't want like a blacky, silvery, gunmetal-y type of color to go with the gold. I would have rathered it be either like a flat black or even a glossy black. And so it's as this mist dries, it is revealing some of the shimmer on the cardstock below it. And it's actually shining through with a bit of a gold hue to it, which I thought, maybe that'll work because the first word in my title is gold. It's that gold glitter that says magic. And so I thought maybe this will work, but these are really looking quite a bit more grungy than I want them to look. Even with the shimmer coming through, they really look like grungy metal words instead of a nice bright black, like a flat black or a shiny black. So I'm just using my baby wipe here to clean up my surface. I do have to use 2 of them. I oversprayed even though I put out my giant palette. This is my Tri-Plus Art palette with a piece of parchment paper attached with packing tape. And so I'm just going to clean that up a little bit and let the letters dry. And what I'm finding is that, see, they have a real grungy brown look. And maybe I'm thinking maybe I could paint over it and make it a nice solid black that's a true black. And then I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to leave them white. And so I have to pick out there are doubles of almost every letter in this package, and some of the more popular letters there are triples of. And so I'm just looking for doubles of everything so I can just spell out the word games all over again. Now there aren't 2 G's. So luckily G is a pretty easily replicable letter. So I just took the O and I cut off part of it. I'm using the G that I already have as a guide for sizing to make this homemade G look as much like the manufactured G as I possibly can. And so I just cut a part off of another letter. And I'm going to use some Tombow liquid glue here. This is aqua glue, which is good for gluing paper to paper. And I used a little bit too much glue, so it oozed out. And then I still have a tiny bit of black ink on my fingers. And I accidentally got black ink on this homemade G that I just made. So I'm like... So what I had to do was pull off the little piece that I added to the O that was cut like a C to make it into a G. And I had to cut another piece and glue it on. And there you have the second version of my homemade G that this time I'm not going to get black ink on because I did a good job of cleaning my hands this time. So now I've pulled out my little notebook of swatches and I'm looking at my gel pens, and I just had to check it on the cue just to make sure that gel pens were going to work on this surface because it is a very pearlized, shiny surface. And sure enough, the gel pens stick fine. I do have to let them dry a little bit, but I am going to go ahead and outline all the way around the edges of all of these letters. And so outlining is something that you can do to increase the legibility of letter stickers by making them higher contrast. And it's also something that you can do for design to allow you to coordinate your letter stickers or your letter elements or anything that you're planning to outline with the other elements on the page. So in this case, I'm using a red pen because I want to bring out the idea of red in this project because it is a Christmas layout after all, even though it doesn't scream Christmas at you. It does have subtle holiday features. And so outlining these letters in red just accentuates that. So I'm using it for thematic reasons, and also I'm using it for design reasons to make these letters pop out a little bit more against the background that I'm going to be placing them on, and to give them a little bit more definition, particularly since I plan to overlap them with each other. And so to increase my legibility, I'm just going to outline them like this with my red Jelly Roll pen. And Jelly Roll is my very favorite ink for gel pens. I absolutely love the Jelly Roll pens. And so there you go. And the nice thing about outlining is that it really doesn't have to be perfect. Here I am going back with a white gel pen trying to perfect it, but really they don't have to be perfect. That's part of the appeal of a hand outlined title, is that it looks homemade, and the sketchy, sometimes wobbly and uneven lines just add to the quaintness of the title. So I really like that, and the outlining really does help that word games stand out from the background patterned paper that it sits upon. But as I look at it, I feel like it needs something a little more. It's not substantial enough. Now, without looking, I accidentally grabbed a purple gel pen instead of my red one. I thought I was grabbing the same one I just put down, but that's okay. While the ink was still wet, I just smeared it off with my finger and got rid of the purple. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to thicken up these lines. This will give these I'm calling them letter stickers by accident. They're actually not stickers, but it will give these letters a little bit more oomph and make them stand out all the more, and just provide a little bit more contrast with this title. So I'm actually not going to show you the entire process of doing this because it's very similar to just outlining. I'm just thickening in the line that's already there. It does give me a chance to smooth out some of the bumpy surfaces that I left bumpy on the first pass. I can smooth them out on the second pass. And again, I'm not being too careful about making it perfect because it just won't be perfect. And so if you can embrace the imperfections and just go with it and think of it as a hand lettered title, because that's sort of what it is. I'm just using the outline of the die cut letters as my guide for making these letters. So like I said, I am going to cut out, I'm a huge proponent of leaving the whole process in, but I am going to cut this out because you've already seen me outline these letters. So here we go. They're all finished now. I'm just going to spell out the word games again, and I do apologize that my head is in the way there. My camera is in the wrong spot again. It keeps moving on me. So now I'm just going to peel off the backing of this magic die cut. And again, that's that beautiful foam, glitter foam in the gold. It's so pretty. I love it. Oh, I'm sorry, my head got in the way. That's a bit of a pain. Anyhow, my camera keeps slipping, so I need to figure out a way to jimmy it so it won't slip anymore. I'm using Tombow Mono multi-adhesive. It's a great glue for gluing non-paper to paper. Here I'm using it paper on paper, but it works for both. It's a nice strong glue. And I'm overlapping these letters, and I thought about putting the M underneath of the A or over the A. I went with going under it. And there are some little pink mishaps that happened on the M. I'm overlapping these so that I can try to fit the S onto this and have it not dangle all by itself off the edge. So I want at least some of the S to be on that pattern paper. So that's why I overlapped everything like that. Otherwise the S would have been hanging out on the background paper all by itself. So I layered those tile letter stickers from October Afternoon. When I placed them on my waxed paper, I just overlapped them with one another so that they act as single stickers instead of sets of 3 and 2. So here's the overall design. I'm really loving how this looks so far, and now I just need to refer back to my photo to remember where I plan to put these embellishments. So I'm going to place them out here over to the right as I had planned, and I'm actually thinking about ditching. I used to have that red one down by the G, and I thought, no, I think I'll put the red one over here by the S and just not even have a secondary cluster of embellishments. I thought maybe I'll just put embellishments over here on the right hand side, which is a bit of a broken design rule here, because you know I usually like to repeat things and have things clustered in different places, but I feel like this cluster is going to be large enough and spread out enough that it just might stand on its own here. So I'm going to design this as if I'm not going to have any secondary cluster. I just used my gold stapler from American Crafts to stick the "'Tis the Season," and I'm sticking these embellishments to each other and also to the background paper so that I can kind of move them as a whole unit. That's why I stuck them to each other first. And now I'm going to do my journaling when it's not on the background because it just makes it a little bit easier. There is some adhesive on the bottom of it, so that's why I put a little piece of wax paper underneath. So my journaling, I'm going to write just off the top of my head. I didn't plan it out to make sure that it fit, but it managed to fit okay. It says, "Board games bring us together no matter what else is going on." That's what I wrote on the circle die cut piece there, the green one. And then for the red one, I put, "Pulling out a new or old favorite and rolling the dice always brings a smile to my face." So again, I'm a huge proponent of telling a story with the least words possible because I'm not a huge writer. I do sometimes write extensive journaling, but not very often. It's obvious that it's at Christmas, so I don't have to say we play board games over the holidays, because anyone who looks at my scrapbook will know that there are board games played every holiday. And so I don't feel like the need to say every detail of this story because the design tells some of it for me. I've used holiday themed, Christmas themed paper, and that sets the tone for this, and the snowflakes as well. And then my journaling can just stick to the facts that aren't told by the design and the theming of the page. So now these buttons came in the kit and they're from American Crafts, and I'm going to use one of them to cover that little blob of pink that's on the M, the little imperfection there on the bottom of the M. And then I'll spread the other ones around the page. And sometimes when you take those buttons off of the clear acetate that they're on, the glue dots come off and you can just pop them right back onto the button and they're perfectly sticky and work well. So I also slid that tree paper clip onto one of the journaling pieces, and now I'm just adding some of these little dots by Doodlebug Designs, and they're called sprinkles, and they're all gold, and I really love them. They're 3 different sizes of gold glittery enamel dots. And so I am spreading them around the whole layout. I did decide to go with a secondary cluster here. It's basically here where the A meets the M, and it's very tiny at this point, but I'm going to add something to it because it's sort of getting lost. And you'll notice that the other cluster here has items that are on the background paper. As most of this cluster is on the background paper, whereas this cluster by the A and the M is not at all on the background paper. So I thought I need to find another snowflake, and sure enough I found one, this blue one that came in the same set. And so I'm just going to put it right here, and I'm also going to add a couple more enamel dots. I thought I was done, but I'm not. Here comes a couple more enamel dots. Just on the, again, I felt like I needed to put something on the background paper, and then I just needed to even those out so that they make more of a triangle with the third one that I added. I'm finicking a little bit more than I need to with these enamel dots, but I really like how they look on the page. And I like the added interest that that secondary cluster adds under the M. I think that if I hadn't added that, it would just not be quite finished. So I do like how that looks. So here are the close-up photos of this one. It really shows off how beautiful that magic die cut is with the glitter foam. It's just so pretty. And these die cut pieces, even though they came from a different manufacturer, they work really beautifully with the pattern paper that I chose from my mind's eye. And that's one of the beauties of kits, is that someone else has already taken the time to make sure that everything coordinates and works well together. So here's what the overall page looks like. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you have found this helpful in jumpstarting your scrappy mojo. So don't forget to start with the colors in your photo as your jumping off point this month. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.